and welcome to National Herald. I'm Rukmini Sen, and I'm joined by Sadaf Jafar, a name India knows now, notorious for a certain political party and much loved by many others. Welcome to the show, Sadaf.
Thank you so much, Rukmini. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Now, I just read your Facebook post today, and I figured that a Lucknow court has decided an application for bail cancellation regarding bail granted to Sadaf Jafar. So clearly, your bail is not making many people happy. So I want to ask you, why is the administration asking for cancellation of the bail?
See, I am doing something that usually perturbs the administration, like what we have in Uttar Pradesh under Yogi Adityanath. I am protesting against all the wrongdoings that they are doing. And this protest is extremely peaceful. After my bail was granted, I was part of the Ghantaghar Andolan, which was led by women in Lucknow at Ghantaghar. So they came up with, they filed one FIR, which was in my name, and two others where I was not even there. They added my name later on. And they used that pretext to get me back into the jail. They do not realize that it would be a pleasure to go back to the jail if they want me to go there, because the conditions in there is also as bad as what we see outside. So this is the reason why they wanted me back there. But they cannot actually cow me down with these stupid gimmicks.
So, Sadaf, you're also national coordinator at All India Mahila Congress. Most people know you for the CA movement. Tell me, what were you protesting against at Ghantaghar?
We were protesting against the CA and NRC and NPR, which we find is extremely problematic because of the certain clauses which does not include. I will not say who they are including, but I would rather talk that who they are not including. They are minorities which are there in India, as in Muslims, from three, clearly they mentioned 3 Muslim countries, but they did not include Telugus, and Rohingya Muslims from Burma, Telugus from Sri Lanka, and so forth. So this whole thing was basically very clearly, whoever's brainchild it was very clearly to create a fault line between the Hindus and the Muslims, which is very problematic. Secondly, it goes against the dignity of the people. We have lived here for, everybody, you and I. We've lived here for centuries. Why should we be showing papers to prove it? There are so many Adivasis and Dalits who do not have the papers. So they don't need to show papers to show their, that they belong to this country. So this whole thing was very problematic, and hence we were protesting against it when I was arrested. And at Ghantaghar later on.
And what are you doing right now? Why are you still a bone of contention?
See, I am everything that a person like Yogi Adityanath would not like. 1, I am a woman. 2, I belong to minority. And most of all is that I am extremely vocal. So people like him want very cowed down, quiet women, submissive, who agree to their, whims and fancies. I am definitely not one of those. If he is wrong, I will be, I wouldn't mince my words to say he's wrong. And there are so many reasons, where he has let us down, whether it was Unnao, Hathras, and so many more incidents related to women's security, regarding, unemployment, and so forth and so on. Even for that matter, the way he treated Khushi Dubey. And we are raising voices against all that he does, which is extremely disturbing.
How, the CAA NRC movement kind of died down gradually because of COVID, and of course, the government ensured that there was a silence. What do you think is happening right now about, if you go back to the movement? How do you see that movement, and what do you think is happening right now? Where is it? Where does it stand right now?
The movement which started off with women was very, very liberating, because, and especially women coming from minority section of the society, having the voice of their own. And they were, the beautiful part of it was they were, they were reciting Pash, they were reciting they were reading the preamble of the Constitution. The kind of cultural influx that we saw there was very amazing. So the movement, like what started with Shaheen Bagh and spread out to across the country, cannot be died down. It cannot die. It remains in our heart. It still kindles in our heart. And we are waiting if they go again with the CAA and NPR. See, our issue is not just CAA, it is NPR. And we want it to be rolled back to what it was initially, in its previous format. If they carry on with the new format, we will definitely come on streets again, corona or no corona.
I just want to go back a little because we were really trying to get you when after you came out of the jail and we couldn't. So tell me, what was jail in Uttar Pradesh like for a woman, for a minority?
Well, I was picked up on the street and I was beaten right there. Then I was taken to the Havalat, where I was beaten very brutally. Initially by the female constables and the lady who was in charge of the Mahila Thana, and then later on by the males. And they were of IPS cadre. So, and I was absconding for 24 hours. They had not told anything about my whereabouts to my family and friends. And they were looking for me, which was very, very difficult. And, I was bleeding. My medical was very peripherally done. And for 24 hours, we were starved without food and water. And then we were then we were sent eventually to the jail, without the magistrate actually seeing our faces, taking our, testimony. So without anything of the sort, our judicial remand of 14 days was given to the court by the magistrate. Jail is very difficult. I have been meaning to write about it for quite some time. Jail for any woman is very difficult. Jail, when you go to the jail, you realize that so many factors. There's it's the patriarchy, how it works, the casteism, how it works, the class. Women who are moneyed are privileged, while the poor and the ones who do not get people, to give them money are in a very terrible condition. The way certain very senior IAS officers, when they come on the round and they speak to them, is extremely problematic. So there are lots of factors, and definitely we need very serious, prison reforms, especially in Uttar Pradesh, and especially in the women's cell. The food is atrocious. The medical is absolutely bad. And the worst thing is that very young children at very tender age are brought in along with their mothers. They learn so much at a very tender age. The schooling is not good. So there are a lot of issues that are there.
So we know that our jails are more punitive than reformative. They don't really focus on any kind of reformation. It's largely punitive. But when you say that you were beaten up, Sadaf, I want to understand, were you beaten up with their hands? What did they use? Anything else? What really happened?
They used everything that they could possibly lay their hands off. So initially it was the batons on the streets where we were beaten up, and then we were brought in, and women kept slapping our faces, my face basically. They kept slapping me, and then I hid my face with my hand. So they started scratching my face with their nails. They pulled my hair, and then eventually one of them was trying to take off the belt, but she was pulled away by the senior lady police which was there. And then at around 11 in the night, I was called in. I was lied that I'm being called by the IG, but it was the SSP and the CO. They called me in a separate room. where I was the only woman, along with one other lady constable who accompanied me. And initially they told her to slap me. And then one of the SSP came forward and he pulled my hair and he kicked me in my stomach and on my knee. And it was so, I could not breathe for very long. It was very bad. And then I started bleeding from the middle of the night around 2 when I was taken for the medical, which was very peripheral, and my BP shot.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I mean, I'm sorry, or mm, that's that's the state of affairs in our country, I guess, right now.
I think Rukmani, I really feel that, a lot of women, if there are more, I'm sure there's so many women like me. I'm not the only one here. And I think, once in our lifetime, when we talk about women rights and minority and Dalit rights, sometimes we should actually experience what I went through to know exactly what happens, when they are picked up when unknown people are picked up. I was privileged. I feel sometimes very guilty for being privileged. I feel guilty that, Meera Nair and Priyanka ji and, so many people talked about me. Because, there's so many women, Dalit women, Muslim women out there who go through the worst kind of, treatment in the hands of the administration. And it goes unheard. So, if you are anyway associated with feminist movement, you must realize what these women are actually going through, and hence the change of government, because the police is just an instrument in the hand of the government. If you have a benevolent government, the police is still under control. They are scared of the action that can be taken against them. But if you have a government like what we have in Uttar Pradesh, where the Mukhyamantri says ki badla liya jayega, then it becomes the police gets a free hand. They are actually told to beat up the women out there who are protesting, who are out, so many times we were lathi charged at Gantaghar.
Were you surprised, Sadaf, when these big posters with your pictures and pictures of other protesters was put right at the center of Lucknow? I mean, that clearly made you and others very vulnerable. But were you shocked that a government could do it, or did you believe that the government didn't do it and someone else came in?
I am living in a state where nothing, you have women getting, raped, and the dead bodies being burned like garbage in the middle of the night while the family is locked up. We are living in a state where there is no respect of human life. Nothing surprises me, nothing shocks me anymore in Uttar Pradesh. I was, yes, I was vulnerable. I was worried. That was the first time I felt a little worried because your addresses are out there, your pictures are there, you're being trolled in the worst of the abusive language across the country. And it was scary. And the worst, what is the irony of this whole thing is that it was being put up by the over 100 hoardings were put up across the city, and they were put up by the local administration and the police. So if 100 people would have come to mob lynch me, who would have gone to? Who would I have complained to? So this was the irony. You have Mohsin Raza, their cabinet minister, coming out in front of those hoardings and almost asking people that these are the people who are stopping Vikas ka Paiya. And in is the kind of language that he used. So the state had put us in the line of fire. But the thing is that when you know that you are working for an ideology, and that ideology is same as what was with the constitution makers, you only, you feel scared, and then you pick up your pieces again. You can't, you really can't. And here I must say that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Mrs. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra came as such a support. In the middle of the night, I told her that this is what has happened. She said, I want the pictures right now. And she was already working on it that this is wrong. And Allahabad High Court went ahead and took a suo motu, which strengthened our belief in judiciary. But definitely the state failed us. The naming and shaming was really pathetic.
What when you look around in UP, we are the people who are not there right now. We hear that Yogi is doing very well. Chief Minister Yogi is doing very well. There is no COVID in UP. Apparently, Maharashtra is doing worse than Uttar Pradesh. And then we hear from, when we investigate, we also find that a lot of cases have not been reported in Uttar Pradesh. You are there at the ground. What are you seeing? And how do you rate this government? You're in the opposition, but I'll still give you that.
I will not talk to you as a member of an opposition party. I would talk to you about as a common citizen. I will just tell you that one son goes out to get oxygen cylinder for his 80-year-old father. And he's picked up by the police and they put him behind bars saying that, he was trying to smuggle the oxygen. And the other son, who's supposed to take care of his 80-year-old father, is sitting at the thana to get his brother released instead of taking care of the father. I've had frantic phone calls where boys had said that, ma'am, please, लोग कह रहे ट्विटर पे ट्वीट कर दो ऑक्सीजन चाहिए तो हम दे देंगे ट्वीट करेंगे तो हमारी संपत्ति जब्त हो जाएगी. This is the kind of fear that has been instilled in the minds of the people. For every little protest, these children who are protesting against the 69,000, jobs that were supposed to be vacancies that were to be created, which never happened. So for that, they are being beaten up every day. Women of any political party or NGO cannot even distribute pamphlets here. So this is like a complete police state where the protesters, the NGOs, people 80-year-old ex-VC of a university is being picked up, harassed. So the right to protest is completely undermined. Right to report, which, is completely undermined. Hence, no one in the press is willing to speak. Bharat Samachar went ahead to speak about it and they had raids. So the way this is converted into a police state. And Yogi Adityanath believes that he runs his own country, which is Uttar Pradesh, and which is extremely problematic. Look at what they've done to Kappan Siddiq. My heart aches for him. His mother is no more. He could not go and see her. He was chained to his bed. For what? For reporting Hathras. You had Derek O'Brien being pushed on the ground. You had, RLD chief being beaten by, this thing. You had people, touching collars of Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, pushing Mr. Rahul Gandhi down. So the way the police, look at the kind of where this arbitrary nature comes from. This free hand has been given to the police by the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. सबक सिखाना है, बदला लेना है, ठोक दो, ठाए ठाए. This is the language that he uses.
So, Sadaf, you're in UP, you're in Lucknow. I must ask you, is there any hope? Do you see any hope as someone who lives in Lucknow and UP, who's seeing things, and also as a person sitting in the opposition?
Yes, the hope lies completely in the hands of the people now. See, we can't just expect opposition to bring about change. Opposition completely depends upon the votes of the people. They have to choose what they want. They want tail in their kadhai, or they want so many lakh diyas burning on, on Diwali. This is a government which is completely talking about event management. UP summit took place. There was not a single penny that came in as an investment. This government believes on two things: on prachar prasar, which is publicity, and on threatening. The people of Uttar Pradesh have to bring about the change. Opposition can only be there with them in all their times of problems, whether it was COVID, whether there were people walking, whether whatever that it is that they need. In all the agitations, the opposition will stand with them wherever they need us. And we have been very vocal about each and every problem that the citizen of this state has gone through. But actually, the hope lies completely at the fingertip of their index finger. They have to decide what button to press, whether they want somebody who talks about thoko badla lenge, or whether they want somebody who talks of something constructive, कि बदल देंगे, कुछ अच्छा बनाएंगे. नाम बदलने से शहरों के हालात नहीं बदलते. So we have to, bring about a very constructive change. So they have to choose a government which will talk about progress, which will talk of education. We have gone back to the same where we had started years ago. Roti, kapda, makan, suraksha, dawai, padai. People will have to vote for that instead of, Kabristan and Shamshan. And there is hope. There is hope because I am a Gandhian. I am a person who belongs to a political party, who's taught the views all her life, who's believed that, change is in the hands of the masses. Till the time the power lies in the hands of the masses, there's hope.
Thank you very much, Sadaf. And I'll take you on your word that there is hope. And stay out of jail if you can manage.
Well, it was an interesting place to be.
Yeah, I can imagine. Stay out of jail and stay on the streets. I hope more protests happen, more democracy happens, and more power to your voice.
Thank you so much.
More power to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sadaf.